Hi everyone! Para sa video na to, ang pag-uusapan natin ay Git. Ano ba ang Git at bakit ba siya useful sa data science? Ang Git ay isang tool that allows us to track our code. So habang nagko-code ka, you can tell Git na isave mo tong version na to. And kapag may nabinago ka and feeling mo mas maganda yung ginawa mo before, kailangan mo mag-backtrack, Git allows you to do that. And even if mag-delete ka ng files, mag-add ka ng files, ang ginagawa ng Git ay tinatrack niya lahat ng changes na to. And kung ano yung reason for the changes as well, ini-indicate mo yun sa Git. And that allows you to go backwards in time, for example, kung may naging problem sa code mo. Or it allows you to go to a more recent version. So in a way, Git is a version control tool. So now, ang isa pang kailangan nating pag-usapan ay yung repository of our code. So Git is a way for us to version control our code, like track all the changes sa ating code. Pero ang GitLab at GitHub naman ang parang Google Drive for our code. Dito natin sinasave yung code natin with all the notes from Git. And so for today's video, ang pag-uusapan natin ay how to set up a project sa GitLab. Ang una natin kailangan gawin ay buksan ang ating browser at pumunta sa gitlab.com. Ngayon, click login. And kung wala ka pang account, mag-register ka muna dito. So ilagay ang first name, last name, username, email, password, I am not a robot, and register. Or pwede kang mag-register using Google, Twitter, at kahit ano dito. Naka-register na ako, so we can just type our username and password. Okay. Ito ang makikita nyo sa GitLab homepage. Kung wala pa kayong projects, wala pa itong mga to. So ito yung mga projects na meron ako ngayon. So let's say may bago kang project and gusto mong iset up yung tinatawag na repository for that project. So click New Project, create blank project, type natin dito ang project name. Let's say sample project, project description. I don't usually put anything here, pero kung gusto mong maglagay ng description, feel free. Visibility level, private kung ikaw lang yung nakakita and pwede mong i-share very specifically to certain individuals. Or public, which is anyone on the internet can find your code. So for our case, gawin muna nating private. And then initialize repository with a README. README is just the overview document of your repository. So sure, let's initialize that with the README. This isn't very important. If ayaw nyo mo ng README, which is a file, then just uncheck. But for now, let us include a README. Create project. And so, pag naka-create ka na ng project, ito yung makikita nyo. You will notice that meron na siyang README file, which is just a document. Okay, we can close these. Alright. So, how do you upload yung mga bagong files in your repository? Well, you can use this, right? Click the plus. You can create a new file or you can upload a file. Pero what we're gonna do is yung mas useful and code version. And so, for us to do that, kailangan nating mag-set up ng connection between our computer and GitLab. So, how do we do that? Let us first go to terminal. Ang una natin kailangan gawin is mag-generate ng SSH key. I-type natin to sa terminal. SSH keygen -t rsa -b 4096 -c at ilagay natin ang ating email address. Enter file in which to save the key. So, ilagay mo lang yung pangalan ng key. ID_RSA. So, yun yung suggestion niya, pero i-type na rin natin. Enter passphrase, enter. Yan. Your identification has been saved in ID_RSA. So, tingnan natin yung laman ng folder natin. Dapat nandito yan sa .ssh. ls. Papansin nyo, nandiyan na. May ID_RSA and ID_RSA.pub. So, ito yung private key ng SSH, ito yung public key ng SSH. Ito yung ikakopy natin kay GitLab mamaya. Let's do that now. Let's copy yung laman ng idrsa.pub. So, what you do is you type pd copy and tilde again, just to make sure, idrsa.pub. Yan. So, kinopy na sa clipboard yung laman ng idrsa.pub. Now, go back to our GitLab and then click your icon, go to Preferences. Okay? Now that you're here, i-click mo si SSH keys. Now, i-paste mo dito, yun. And then, click add key, pero lagyan mo ng name. So, in our case, ang name na gusto ko is ID RSA sample. Pero you can name it whatever you want. And yan, na-add na siya kay GitLab. The next thing that we need to do is go back, okay, kay terminal, type clear to clear up yung mga outputs dyan and malinis yung terminal. Remember, we are still in the .ssh na folder. Ngayon, magkikreate tayo ng new file called config inside .ssh na folder. Okay, remember, nandito pa rin kayo sa folder na to. So, ang gagawin natin is magta-type tayo ng nano config. So, para siyang text file. And ang ilalagay natin dyan is host gitlab.com. Double space, hostname gitlab.com. Okay? And then, ilalagay natin user is git and identity file is yung na-create natin na SSH na private key. So, punta ka sa tilde.ssh id RSA. That's it. So, how do you save? Control X, ito yan, exit. Control X, sasabihin niya, save modified Y, file name to write config, enter. Yan, na-save na siya. Let's double check. Nano config, na-save. Control X. Okay. Ngayon, ang next na kailangan natin gawin is i-add natin yung created na RSA files. So again, ls, makikita natin dyan, meron na siyang config, idrsa, or idrsa pub. Remember, ito yung nilagay natin sa GitLab kanina. So what we do is we add it ssh.add idrsa. Identity added. So na-add na siya. Ngayon, pwede nating i-check kung na-add nga ba siya talaga. ssh.add.list. So yan. Clear. Ngayon, we can now check kung gumagana siya. Gagawin mo, ssh-t gitlab.com. The authenticity of host gitlab.com can be established. Are you sure you want to continue? Yes. Welcome. Yan, makita mo, nandiyan na rin yung user mo. Okay, so let us try kung gagana to dun sa na-create nating GitLab repository. So, balik tayo kay GitLab repo na na-create natin. Sample project. So, let's connect this to our computer. Click clone, clone with SSH. Copy, click this to copy the URL. And then, itry natin siya i-save sa ating desktop. So, clear, change directory cd to tilde our home and then desktop. Yan. And then, mag-create tayo dyan ng directory ng sabihin natin na GitLab repo. Okay, so papansinin nyo, meron na siyang GitLab repo na folder na na-create dito. Ito. Okay? Ang next na gagawin natin is punta tayo sa GitLab repo. Okay? And then, important that we initialize this as a Git repository. So, git init. Okay? Sabihin niya, okay, initialize the empty Git repository. Now, let's clone yung ating new repo. In other words, ipe-paste natin dito sa ating local. So, git clone, paste, yung na-copy natin na Git kanina na sample project. Enter. Yon. Tingnan natin. Clear again. Let's check the content of our GitLab repo. Yan, nandyan yung sample project. Change directory, sample project. Tingnan natin ang laman ng sample project, exactly yung readme file. You will notice you can go back to this folder and yan, nandiyan yung readme file. Ang next na kailangan natin gawin is pakita natin paano mag-upload dito sa ating Git repository na sample project kasi readme pa lang yung laman niya. So, gawa tayo ng sample project. Ang gawin natin is mag-create tayo ng file na sabihin natin na nano sample file dot, let's call it a Python file, and then ang gagawin lang natin dito is print hello world. Okay, you know the drill. Control X, yes. Save modified buffer, file name to write sample file, yes. So na-save na yung ating sample file. I-check ulit natin. Yan. Control X. So, how do we upload this to the connected Git repository? Well, first, check natin yung status of our Git repo. Git status. You will notice, sasabihin niya, untracked files. Ibig sabihin, hindi niya tinatrack tong file na to. Pag nagkaroon ng change sa file na to, hindi niya yun papansinin. We want Git to track that file. So, sasabihin natin git add sample file.py. Yun yung gusto nating i-track na file. Ngayon, sometimes you want to track multiple files or maybe all files. So, if I want to track all files in the folder, I just press git add period. If I want to track only files na may py sa dulo, what I can do is git add *.py. So asterisk is saying any file name that ends with a .py. So asterisk is just anything. So let's just do this. Okay, inad na natin. So git status, check natin yung status ngayon. You will notice changes to be committed. So what it's saying is tinatrack na niya pero hindi pa niya kino-commit yung change. Ibig sabihin, tinitingnan lang niya pero hindi pa niya kino-consider yung change. So when you say commit, yun yung parang sinesave na niya yung change to its memory. So i-commit natin, git commit, and then -m meaning message, and sasabihin natin yung message which is first commit. Yan lang gawin natin. Okay? So git status, again, mapapansin nyo na wala na siyang sinasabi na add or commit or whatever. Okay, ngayon, ganito. Bumalik kayo dito sa website na to, sa inyong repository, and makikita nyo tong drop-down na to. So, this is the current branch. Okay? So, this is the branch. Kasi sa Git, pwede kang magkaroon ng multiple branches, which is saying parang different paths. So, one branch could have a different changes sa code compared to another branch. Pero at the end of the day, gusto mo siyang i-merge sa main branch. Ibig sabihin, ipagsasama-samahin mo na yung mga changes na yan into your main branch. So, yung main branch mo yung pinaka-ground truth or pinaka-important na branch. So, since main branch lang naman ang mayroon tayo, ang sasabihin natin, i-upload siya sa main branch. So, git push -u origin main. So, origin is just itong tong Git site na to. Yan. So, sinabi niya, writing objects done and main set to remote branch main from origin. Tingnan natin by refreshing this site. Yan. Pansinin nyo, nandito na si samplefile.py. So, that's it for today's video kung paano mag-set up ng Git at GitLab para sa inyong data science projects. Ngayon, magkakaroon tayo ng more advanced videos moving forward, more advanced techniques, and how to use Git and so forth. Pero for now, let's start with this and hopefully magamit nyo sa inyong data science projects.